This is Providence Television International, the game changer. Stand by for the next program.
After 58 years in power, Botswana president concedes election defeat, and African CDC appeals for resources once impulse is not under control. This is the world news. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the World News on Providence Television International. My name is Edna Garrick, and now the details. Botswana President Mogwetsi Masisi has conceded defeat as preliminary results showed his governing party lost its parliamentary majority after nearly 6 decades in power. Masisi's concession on Friday came before the final results were announced, with his Botswana Democratic Party BPD trailing in 4th place according to tallies by the Electoral Commission. The results are expected to be confirmed by the Electoral Commission later on Friday. Under the country's electoral system, the first party to take 31 of 60 seats in the legislature will be declared the winner, install its candidate as president, and form a government. The BDP has governed the diamond-rich Southern African nation since 1966 and was expected to win. The main opposition, Umbrella for Democratic Change, UDC, held a strong lead in the partial result, making its leader, Duma Boko, the likely candidate for president. Masisi said he had called Boko to inform him he was conceding defeat. UDC had already secured 25 seats according to the official partial count and was aiming to reach 31 seats to become the outright winner and hand the presidency to human rights lawyer Boko. Masisi, a 63-year-old former high school teacher and UNICEF worker, had been widely expected to keep his parliamentary majority and serve a second and final term. Unemployment has risen to 27%, with an even greater share of young people out of work. Before the vote, the BDP had acknowledged the need to diversify the economy, pledging to develop new drivers of growth such as agriculture and tourism. More than 1 million people were registered to vote of a population of 2.6 million. At least 158 people have died in Spain's worst flooding disaster in generations as rescuers battle hard to find survivors. On Thursday, more than 1,200 workers aided by drones were deployed to the rescue mission as rains continue to threaten part of the country. But some of the towns worst hit in Tuesday's night flood. People were left to the task of recovering bodies from the mud and wreckage. At least 155 deaths were recorded in Valencia, while another 2 have been recorded in Castilla-La Mancha to the province west. In the town of Piaporta, Valencia, where a river burst is banked, at least 40 deaths have been recorded so far. Eyewitness revealed that they saw undertakers and funeral vans retrieving bodies from the street, while on nearby road, cars swept away by the storm surge were piled up on top of each other. Motorists have recounted the horror of being trapped by the surging tide on Tuesday, which turned highway and street into rivers. Many who survived climbed trees or bridges to escape. Officials haven't disclosed the number of people still missing, but said there are many as the toll rose by about another 60 deaths on Thursday. More than 90 deaths were recorded on Wednesday alone in the immediate aftermath of the torrential rains and flash floods, which largely affected Valencia and other provinces. Meanwhile, in flood-affected areas, hundreds are sheltering in temporary accommodation and beginning the slow, arduous task of clearing streets and recovering homes and businesses. Spain began an official 3-day national mourning period on Thursday with flags at half-mast on government building and minutes of silence held. The African Union's health watchdog has warned that the mpox outbreak was still not under control and appealed for resources to avoid a more severe pandemic than COVID-19. More than 1,100 people have died of mpox in Africa, where some 48,000 cases have been recorded since January, according to the CDC. Cases were still increasing in several countries as the continent struggled to contain another major outbreak coming on the heels of COVID-19 that exposed weaknesses in Africa's health system. So far, 19 countries in Africa have reported cases of mpox after an infection was detected in Mauritius, popular with tourists attracted to its stunning white beaches and crystal clear waters. Yet, the funds to contain the outbreak were in short supply. African CDC warned mpox, previously known as monkeypox, is caused by virus transmitted to humans through close physical contact. The viral disease related to smallpox causes fever, body itches, swollen lymph nodes, and a rash that forms into blisters and has two main subtypes, clade 1 and clade 2. The United Kingdom announced on Wednesday that it has detected the country's first case with the latest mpox variant, clade 1b. It has also been detected in Sweden and Germany. Central Africa, which has been hardest hit by the outbreak, accounts for 85.7% of cases and 99.5% of deaths on the continent. The majority of deaths have been in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the epicenter of the outbreak, which launched a vaccination drive earlier this month. If you are just joining us, this is the World News on Providence Television International. French authorities say a drug trafficking-related shooting in the eastern French city of Poitiers escalated into a brawl on Thursday night involving up to 600 people. 5 people were seriously injured in a drive-by shooting at a restaurant in the city, including a 15-year-old boy who was left in critical condition after being shot in the head. Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau described the incident as an alarming sign of drug-related violence escalating in the country. It follows a shooting in the northeastern city of Rennes last week, which killed a 5-year-old boy. Shots were fired from a passing car, injuring several young people, police sources said. Pictures from the scene in Place de Comombra, an area of the city known for drug-related crime, showed the restaurant facade riddled with bullet holes. The shooting then triggered fighting between rival groups in the area. He was scheduled to visit Rennes, the capital of Brittany, on Friday, following the shooting on 26 October, in which a 5-year-old boy sitting in a car was shot in the head. According to authorities, confirmed the shooting was also drug-related. The drug trade in France has long been viewed as centered in the southern port city of Marseille, where at least 17 drug-related killings have been reported since the start of the year. But researchers say the influence of drug trafficking in France in recent years has spread beyond the main hubs of Marseille and Paris to medium-sized towns and even rural areas. Away from the foreign scene, now back home, the House of Representatives has advanced a bill to his second reading aiming to mandate the inclusion of specific portfolios in the nomination list for ministers and commissioners submitted by the President and state governors. Leading the debate, Okechukwu Idiagu highlighted that attaching portfolios to nominees would allow lawmakers in the National and State Assembly to conduct more effective and targeted scrutiny during confirmation processes. In related development, a separate bill proposing an extension of the retirement age for health workers across Nigeria has also processed to its second reading. The bill could bring significant changes to the healthcare workforce by retaining experienced health personnel in service for extended period. The detained and bad governance protesters arrived at the Federal High Court in Abuja for the scheduled arraignment before Justice Obiora Egwatu. They were arrested and detained during the nationwide August 1st to 10th protest, which was sparked by widespread economic hardship that led many Nigerians to the street to express their grievances. The 76 protesters who were arrested in Abuja, Kaduna, Gombe, Jos, Katsina, and Kano State are being accused of treason, among other offenses. The protesters include Nora Ibrahim, 24, Abdul Basi Abdul Salami, 34, Hamed Yusuf, 25, Awolu Abdullahi, 21, Umar Musa, 15, Muhammadu Mustafa 16, among others. The Nigerian Port Authority today disclosed that 7 ships could berth with crude oil at the Lagos port. The NPA, in its daily shipping position, said that 7 vessels out of the 9 expected will berth diesel, crude oil, bulk oil, petrol, and aviation fuel. The NPA also stated that a total of 2 vessels were waiting to berth at Apapa and Tinkan Island port with bulk oil and aviation fuel. It added that 3 vessels were currently discharging general cargo, petrol, and containers at Lekki Deep Sea Port in Lagos. With that, we've come to the end of the world news. But before we go, let's take a look at the top stories that made headlines. We brought to the report which say the African Union Health Watchdog has warned that the Mpox outbreak was still not under control and appealed for resources to avoid a more severe pandemic than COVID-19. More than 1,100 people have died of Mpox in Africa, where some 48,000 cases have been recorded since January, according to the CDC. And also at least 158 people have died in Spain's worst flooding disaster in generations as rescuers battle all to find survivors. On Thursday, more than 1,200 workers aided by drones were deployed to rescue missions as rains continue to threaten parts of the country. And finally, Botswana President Mogwesi Masisi has conceded defeat as preliminary party lost its parliamentary majority after nearly 6 decades in power. Masisi's concession on Friday came before the final results were announced, with his Botswana Democratic Party BDP trailing in 4th place according to tallies by the Electoral Commission. That's our package. Thanks for watching. Edna Cesar Garrick is my name. Good afternoon.